Hey guys, long time no see. I just wanted to catch you guys up because ever since we've talked, I've taken the credits. I have applied for my license, graduated, applied for my license, and then I have actually been on interviews and gotten a job. And I passed all of my tests and everything, so all the big stuff's out of the way, and it was all kind of unknown and a little bit confusing and kind of a pain in the booty. But so today I'm just going to talk about my credits experience. So you have your written boards, which I've already talked about on this channel, and then you have your clinical boards. So for my clinical boards, because I live in the state of Georgia, I chose to, or I didn't choose, but I mean, since I will be working in the state of Georgia, I took the CRDTS, which is regional, and I don't know exactly which states it includes, but I know it's like Georgia, South Carolina, not Florida, surprisingly. I think it would extend all the way to, even to Alabama. So we took that. We were lucky enough to have it at our school. The year before they did not. They had to go out to Atlanta, which is, I mean, it's not terrible. It's like a 30-minute drive, but it's different because you don't know the layout of the clinic or where the supplies will be, and you just really didn't know what to expect. Like, nobody really walked me through it, and I wasn't I was super nervous. Even though I've been in clinic seeing patients 3 times a week for 2 years now, I just was so, like, it has to go right that day. Like, you cannot mess up, you cannot miss calculus, you have to get it right that day. And it was, honestly, I mean, I'll be straight up with numbers and everything, it was like $950 for one test. If I failed, since my last name starts with a B, I took the test on Friday, April 12th, and then if I failed, I would come back Sunday afternoon and retake it, but I would still have to pay $500. If I failed again, I would have to pay the $950 and take it later. But it's hard to secure a patient. It's hard to get the perfect person because it has to be the right person. So we were lucky because we knew we needed a certain patient. We have classes 1 through 5, and you need a class 4. You could do a class 5. It's just going to be more tenacious and heavier calculus, but you could. So you pick your patient. You're just kind of like, when you're doing your oral health screenings, which means you haven't cleaned their teeth, because you can't clean their teeth. You can't have an instructor tell you, yeah, this is a boards patient. So you have to decide that for yourself because you've been in clinic for 2 years and they assume you should know. So on my oral health screenings, I had 2 patients. One was a little bit lighter than the other, but they both would work for what I needed for my boards patient. So you have to kind of entice them. Like, you can choose to pay them. You can choose to give them a gift card. You can, if they're out of state, I had friends that paid for their hotel room and picked them up and drove them to and from. I chose to offer mine money, $100. For the main person that I really wanted to come, he was about a class 4 in our clinic, and the other was class 3. So I chose to for my main, I said I'll give you 100, and if they suggest you have a backup, so I chose a backup and I offered to pay him 50. They both said they didn't want the money, which is kind of like crazy, but so nice. And so then you wait and you tell them, I got their numbers and was like texting them, like, it's this day, this time, be here. So they need to have x-rays, so I made sure they both did not have current x-rays, so I needed to get them in the clinic scheduled for x-rays. So I got them scheduled for x-rays. My main patient that I was really counting on did not show up for his first 2 x-ray appointments, so we have a cancellation policy in the clinic that if you miss 3 appointments, you're out, you can't be a patient anymore. So it was like last strike and he was out, and he was late to that appointment. So I was kind of like, oh my gosh, like I need to make sure my backup comes, because I just got like a weird feeling. Like I just didn't think that he was going to show up. So, because I'm texting them at this point, and they're being so sweet and so understanding, and I understand that they have their own lives, and this is doing me a favor completely. So I got their x-rays done, and you need to map out their mouth, because for the test you choose 6 to 10 teeth in their whole mouth, and you submit them. If the dentist, I think there's like 4 or 5, they go behind a curtain and they say, okay, if I chose numbers 1 through 6, let's just say, and they have enough calculus, they check it off, you're good to go, start cleaning, your time starts now. So if you miss that, you have a backup like number of teeth that you'll submit. So maybe I add those teeth 1 through 6, and then maybe I add 1 through 7 on the second one. So maybe those didn't quite have enough, and then I had to submit a backup, so that would work. And then you have 2 more chances to submit teeth, like 1 through 8, and then 1 through 9. And but they suggest after your second treatment plan has been revoked that you use your backup patient. So I knew this guy had a lot of calculus, like you could see it in his radiographs, and my backup did not have quite as much, but I mean, I knew he would be a good patient. They were both so nice, and everything worked out. I was like, oh, perfect scenario. So I get in, I guess I'll start the week before. I've already mapped out their teeth, like, so I could mark where their calculus is on the sheet, so I know which teeth I'm submitting. So you get there that day. I texted both men the night before. My main one did not text me back, so I was like, oh my God, like, he's not gonna come. So I baked 2 things of cookies for my main patient in the backup, and like wrote him a little card, and like had the money ready to go. So I get there that morning. I am literally shaking. I'm so nervous and like sweating, and like, my girls are there with me, and I think there was only 8 of us that morning, and they have our clinic divided down the middle. You can get anesthesia for your patients, thank God for that, because I don't want to hear, like, if they're so sensitive, I cannot deal with it. Like, it will make me a nervous wreck the day of my test. So they divided down the middle. The dentists are on this side, you are on this side. And my main patient did not show up, and my backup patient did show up, but he was running a little bit late, because he thought he was a backup. He didn't think that, like, he had to show up on time, because he was like, oh, like, she won't need me unless this one guy doesn't work out. So I am so glad that I had a backup. If you can get a backup, please get a backup, or share your friends something. Like, there were so many different scenarios that we needed backups throughout the whole weekend of my class testing. So get in. I had already mapped out his mouth, but it was like months before that, so I didn't think that he was super heavy, but I still was like, no, I'm only submitting 7 teeth. Like, I want to make sure I have time to get everything done. So everyone's patients are coming back. They've already been submitted, and the lady comes up to me, the hygiene coordinator, and you can't see the dentist, they can't see you. You only see the hygiene coordinator. You have like secured documents in a folder, and you can't write, you don't see any of the documents. I mean, you know what they look like because you have a manual, but you haven't had anything filled out besides like the sheet that you mapped out that is CRDTS like approved, and it is mapped out of their mouth, so you know which teeth you're choosing. That's just for your treatment plan. So I submitted the teeth, and the lady comes up to me. Out of all 8 of us, there's maybe 7 of us, maybe 6 of us, sorry. I'm the only one. She comes up to me and she goes, so Speedy, I'm so sorry, your treatment plan has been revoked. They're gonna test your second one. And I was like, oh my God, I wish I did more on my second one, because I only added 1 tooth. I wish I would have done all molars, because that's what, trapped the most calculus. And I didn't, and big regrets. But I was just so set on my main patient, like not my backup, like my class 4. I knew he would have enough on like any tooth I chose So, and it has to be subgingival calculus. It can't be the kind that you see above the gum line. It has to be below the gum. I mean, you can have supergingival, but like they are looking for that below the gum calculus. So I was like, oh my God, like I'm screwed. Like I know they're not going to do the second one, and that's my fault. Because you already, once they revoke your first treatment plan, you go down to a 93, and then you go down to an 85, and you have to get a 75 to pass. So, I was just an 86. So I was starting out, before I've even touched his teeth, 86. And I'm like, I'm an A student, you know? And so I was like freaking out because I was just like, this is so not right. Like, oh, I wish I would have changed it. I wish my main patient had shown up, even though this guy was super nice. So she comes back, she goes, so they didn't take your second submit, is the second submittal or whatever. And so you have to go back in his mouth, and just add teeth. I literally did not even look in his mouth. I just added it like it was all molars. And those are harder to clean. They're in the back of the mouth. You're like pulling them back like a fish hook. And it's harder to get, it's harder to suction. I mean, that's why they make you have certain, I think like out of the 6 teeth you submitted, like only 3 can be anterior teeth. So they want you to be choosing posterior teeth. So I think at least 3 of the teeth that you submit have to be molars. So I just added hella molars and went back and submitted. Finally, they submitted. So I'm already starting off, instead of an hour and a half to clean, I have like a little bit over an hour. And so I am busting booty. I think it was an hour and a half that we have, but which, I mean, I know it seems like a lot for 6 teeth, but I mean, it's just so much because you have to get the dentist to come over and give the anesthesia and sign off for it. You have to make sure all your paperwork's filled out. You have to probe. They give you 4 teeth to probe. So all the 3 facial surfaces, 3 lingual surfaces you have to probe. And each probe mark you miss is 1 point off. Each piece of calculus you miss, let's say I missed 1 piece of calculus on one of the teeth that I submitted, that's 5 points off. So I literally had 11 points that I could miss to make me like pass. So if I missed 2 pieces of calculus or 3 pieces of calculus, I would have flunked. So I'm like so nervous at this point, and I was crying. Like, I'm not even gonna lie to you. Like, it takes a lot, I think for me to cry, and I was crying, like I couldn't help myself. It was just like the kind you can't control, and like just tears were coming. So like one of the ladies that was there from our clinic, she was just overseeing everything, getting supplies ready. She brought me like a bottle of water, I guess, to replenish the tears streaming down my face, because I was probably getting dehydrated because, oh my gosh, I was just like a mess. But so then I start cleaning. My guy felt so bad. Like, he was just like, are you crying? Like, you need to stop crying, you know? And I was like, okay. And so, and my lip was doing that like little like quivering thing. So, I got in there, cleaned his teeth up, and I still finished with probably 10 minutes to spare. And I went back over probing, back over the teeth. I went with the heavy, for the ultrasonic, I went with the heavy tip, and then back over with the light tip, and then hand scale, just to make sure I got everything. I flushed everything out of that mouth. And whenever my probing depth twice, I basically just like wanted to check myself. I never am one of those that checks my answers on a test, but I should be. But this was one. I'm like, $950 test. Yeah, I'm checking my answers. So I went back and checked everything, submitted him. We stayed, all 6 of us, and it happened to be, it was funny because they do it in alphabetical order. We all were staying together. 3 of my girlfriends and I all had it together. So we were like, just like holding each other, like waiting in the waiting room, in our clinic waiting room. And the hygiene coordinator, we finished, because we started around 11. We had to be there by 11:45 and ready to go by like noon, I think is when it started. And by the time everything was said and done, I think we had to be done by like 4:30, 4:45. But my finish time, where I had to have my patient submitted back, to be checked again, to go behind the curtain and make sure I got everything off. I think it was like 3 something. And they let you know, you can have a clock and everything. And so I was freaking out, and one by one, like, the dentist started leaving. Oh, and then also while I was cleaning, the suction tip kept falling and hitting the floor. So I had to stop what I was doing, take off my gloves, wash my hands, get on other gloves, wipe the tip down, throw away the plastic tip, get a new tip. I mean, and it happened twice. So I was like, oh my gosh, can this like go worse, basically. So I got that done, and then I got my what did I do? Okay, so I had to clean everything up, just like a normal day in clinic. You have to clean up your cubicle, and then I had to my paperwork's already turned in, because when I submitted my patient, paperwork had to be complete. And if you have a paperwork error, it can be 2 points, 1 to 2 points. So it's just, you can lose points easily. So we are all in the waiting room. One by one, like, the dentist kept leaving, and I'm like, why is everyone leaving? Like, why don't we have our scores? I mean, we were refreshing on our phones, because that's how we get the scores. We had to log on to this thing online, and we're refreshing everything, and we're all sitting there just like nervous as hell. And my guy, I'd already said bye to my patient, and he did not take the money. He did take the cookies, but he did not take the money. So thank you so much. I won't say his name, obviously, but oh my gosh, what a blessing. He was just the sweetest guy. I mean, he was like, you did, and I texted him later, and I was like, thank you so much, and everything. And he was just such a stand-up guy. But anyway, so we keep refreshing. Nothing's happening. Dentists are gone. Hygiene coordinator's gone. It's like 5. They said for sure, if it's not up by 5:30, call. So 5:30 rolls around. We're still sitting there. 2 of the girls have already gone home, because they just like, but I wanted to meet with like my friends and stuff when I'm looking. I don't want to be driving home and like people be texting me like, I passed or I failed, or no texting and driving. And so I'm checking, and they're still not up. We tried to call the office. The office was like, sorry, we are closed. We close at 5 p.m. So I'm like, well, there's really nothing we can do at this point. So we just waited. And our clinic coordinator, that's actually like an employee of our school, was like, well, I mean, I'm sure I can talk to somebody if it's not up in the next 10 minutes. So then by the time like 5:40 rolls around, I think everything was up. And so all of us there, I think there was like 4 of us left. We all had passed. Yay! So I got an 86. So starting out when I submitted my patient, the highest I could get was an 86, because my first 2 submissions didn't go through. So I got an 86, it's passing. So that means I didn't miss any calculus, didn't miss any probe ups, didn't miss any paperwork errors. And so, I screamed, I called my boyfriend, called my dad, called, just like hugged my girls, and we were so excited. And I called my dad, and my dad kept telling everybody, he was like, my girl got 100. And I was like, stop telling people that I did not get 100, because I'm just such a perfectionist that I think I was like, not embarrassed, but just like, I was like, no, I did not get 100, like, that's not even true, but I mean, I guess like in the skill level, like I didn't miss calculus, so I guess that's what he was thinking. But so out of 28 of us, we all took the exam, and only one of us failed, and it was because her patient had so much calculus blocking the pockets that when she initially probed, she was getting like 4s and 5s, but that's because of the subgingival calculus, so it wasn't going all the way down into the pockets. And he was young, so you wouldn't think he would have periodontal disease, but in reality, the pockets were just like a lot deeper, and you're not able to get the pockets cleaned. If you were doing an SRP, you wouldn't have been able to do it in that allotted time frame. So they do advise you do not take patients with perio disease, because it's just, you're not going to be able to get those pockets cleaned out like you need to for this exam in this time frame. So it's not like she wasn't good at what she was doing. So But since then, she's passed, so that's great. We had so many girls pass. Girls get hundreds. So I'm so proud of our whole class. They did so awesome. And it's over now. Thank you, Jesus. And when I dismissed my patient, I was going to say this. He was so nice. Like I said, he didn't take the money. And I texted him that night and I was like, I passed, you know, thank you so much for coming and, you know, taking time of your Friday, you know. And he was like, oh yeah, you did so great except for the crying part, LOL. And I was just like, I was crying, laughing at that point, because I was like, I cried like a little baby. But anyways, so that's my credits experience. If you have any questions, leave them down below. And then also, if you like, lots of big things have happened since I graduated. I moved, I got a job. So if you want any advice, or if you want me to do videos like Jace in the life, maybe of like working, or I got a new house, this is it. And days in life of working, interviewing, how that works, license application. Just leave what you want to see, I guess, down below too. Yeah, so let me know, and hope this helps anyone, kind of give you more insight into what it's like. So bye.